What's good, boxing fans? Today I'm going to give you guys my top 5 pound for pound boxers today. Here we go. At number 5, I'm going to go with none other than Dimitri Bivol. I think Bivol beating Canelo, first of all, in a fight where, yeah, he had the size advantage, he had the reach advantage, but he just showed that you really can beat Canelo Alvarez at a time where, Canelo was obviously on a winning streak and he was a big name and still is a big name, very much feared in the sport of boxing. But Bivol clearly just too strong, too rangy, and too good of a jab and too awkward for Canelo to deal with, and mainly too big for him. So I got Bivol at the number 5 spot. At the number 4 spot, I am going to go with Bam Rodriguez. I think Bam, is wiping out the competition right now. He just fought, got the late stoppage, and I think, he's showing that he can deal with adversity, and I like the angles. I like everything I'm seeing from Bam Rodriguez. At this early point in his career, I feel like he's already accomplished more than most fighters could ever dream of, and just to know that there are still big names out there. I know, people talk about the Inoue fight, people talk about the Nakatani fight, but, Bam is a great fighter, and I think that he has an even brighter future in boxing, even though he's already accomplished a lot, already. So Bam's at my number 4 spot. At my number 3 spot, I got none other than Alexander Usyk. I got Alexander Usyk because beating Tyson Fury, beating AJ, being basically a blown-up cruiserweight, moving up, and then demolishing and clearing out the heavyweight division, getting better and better time in and time out. I think there's no question that Usyk deserves the number 3 spot, at least, in the sport of boxing. At number 2, I have Terrence Bud Crawford, because everybody, has excuses. I've made excuses for Errol Spence, but the performance that Crawford had and everything he did at 147 and moving up multiple weight classes to fight a guy like Canelo is much respect and deserves much respect. And I think Crawford being able to switch, it makes him so dynamic, and like I said, at 147 stopped every opponent that he's had. The fight where it was most highly anticipated with Errol Spence Jr., Crawford just washes Errol Spence Jr., one of my favorite fighters. It was a tough watch, but I believe Crawford deserves the number 2 pound for pound spot in the sport of boxing. Number 1, you guys already know who I'm going with. I'm going with none other than Inoue the Monster Inoue, and I think this is a no-brainer for me. There aren't a lot of guys in the sport of boxing. Don't get me wrong, a lot of guys are making sacrifices, but who's really selling out? Who's really putting on these kinds of shows, putting it all on the line and showing that he's a killer? I think Inoue is one of those guys. He's one of the only guys in boxing that wants to do it and can execute it. I feel like Inoue is so talented. He's so explosive. He's dealt with adversity, been dropped multiple times, showed that he can get up, fight on, and get a stoppage. So Inoue is definitely my number 1 pound for pound fighter. He's so versatile. You can see him adjust. You see him, very strategic in his attack. I know it may seem like he's a very offensive fighter, but he's intelligent as well. I think Inoue has one of the highest fight IQs, if not the highest fight IQ in the sport of boxing right now. That's why I have him at the number 1 spot for pound. This is all obviously subjective, but I believe, it's obviously Bivol's up there. I think Bam deserves to be up there. Usyk, obviously Terrence Crawford, going into that Canelo fight, daring to be great. I think that puts him in the pound for pound rankings as well, especially if he gets a dub, he might be number 1. And I don't even think there's question. I think Crawford is number 1 pound for pound regardless if he beats Canelo. I don't care what anybody says, but Inoue is definitely number 1 right now. Look at his last performance, getting dropped with that left hand that, he's pretty susceptible for, makes some mistakes, but the great fighters take shortcuts. The great fighters take these risks, and they're a little bit reckless. So I feel like Inoue is, number 1 pound for pound for sure, and I don't think that, Crawford, saying that Crawford's number 1 is crazy. I don't think saying that Usyk is number 1 is crazy, but I think for me, I gotta go number 1, I got Inoue. 2, I got Terrence Crawford. 3, I got Usyk. Number 4, I got Bam Rodriguez, and number 5, I got Bivol. Or was it Bivol and whatever? That doesn't matter. But you guys know my top 5 already. Honestly, you could switch them in any order you want, but those are my main guys. Bivol, Bam Rodriguez, and I got obviously Terrence Crawford, Usyk, and Inoue. That's my top 5 pound for pound. So you guys heard it here first. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. I'll catch you guys on the next boxing video. Hope you enjoyed. Peace.